The Christmas lights were twinkling behind Linda as she stood in her foyer and told me to leave. "You're not welcome here anymore. Leave before you ruin Christmas for everyone." I could smell the cinnamon candles burning in the living room, hear the laughter of Daniel's family echoing from the dining room. My husband stood there like a statue, saying nothing. Linda's smile was cruel and triumphant. "My son deserves better than you. My name is Lauren, and I'm 29 years old. I'm a freelance graphic designer. I work from home, building my own small business over the past 5 years. It's not glamorous, but it's mine. I married Daniel 3 years ago, and from the very beginning, his mother Linda made it crystal clear that I wasn't good enough for her son. I grew up working class. We didn't have much. My parents worked 2 jobs each just to keep the lights on. I was always self-conscious about not having the right background or the right family connections. Daniel's family was different. They were upper middle class, not wealthy, but comfortable. They had the nice house, the country club membership, the family vacations to places I'd only seen in magazines. And Linda never let me forget that I came from less. She made sure I knew it every single time we were together. I tried everything to win her approval. I bought her perfect holiday gifts. I hosted family dinners at our apartment. I remembered every birthday, every anniversary. I smiled through her criticisms and bit my tongue when she made comments about my clothes, my career, my cooking, even the way I laughed. Nothing worked. Nothing was ever good enough. Daniel always brushed it off. "That's just how my mom is," he'd say. "Don't take it personally." But it was personal, every single time. Every jab, every backhanded compliment, every look of disapproval. It was all personal. I wasn't fancy. I didn't have a trust fund or a family name that opened doors. But I had something they never expected. A backbone I'd been hiding for too long. If you've ever been treated like you're not good enough because of where you came from, hit that subscribe button. I want to hear how you handled it in the comments. Drop your story below. You're not alone in this. Let's go. The trouble started 2 weeks before Christmas. Linda announced she was hosting a family-only Christmas Eve dinner at her house. I assumed I was included. I was Daniel's wife. But then Daniel casually mentioned one night while we were watching TV, "Mom said it's just blood relatives this year." I turned to look at him, confused. "I'm your wife. I am family." He shrugged like it was no big deal. "It's her house, her rules. Just let it go, babe." I couldn't let it go. I pushed back, and Daniel finally agreed to talk to his mother about it. The next day, Linda called me directly. Her voice was dripping with fake sweetness. "Daniel told me you're upset about Christmas Eve." I tried to explain calmly that excluding me felt hurtful, that I was part of the family now. Her tone shifted instantly, like someone had flipped a switch. "You know, Lauren, not everything is about you. This is about my family. My son. My traditions." I felt my stomach drop, but I stayed composed. "I'm Daniel's wife. I thought that made me family." Linda laughed. It was cold and sharp. "Marriage is just a piece of paper, dear. Blood is what matters." The call ended abruptly, and I sat there in silence, processing the cruelty of what she'd just said. A few days later, Daniel's sister Courtney texted me. "Sorry, Mom's being difficult. She's always like this with Daniel's girlfriends." I corrected her immediately. "I'm his wife, not his girlfriend," she replied with a shrugging emoji. On Christmas Eve, Daniel insisted I come with him anyway. "She'll get over it once you're there," he said. I didn't believe him, but I went. The moment we walked into Linda's house, her face hardened. She pulled Daniel aside, and I could hear the sharp whispers even from where I stood in the foyer. "I told you she wasn't invited." Linda emerged from the hallway and looked directly at me. "I think there's been a misunderstanding. This is a private family event." I looked at Daniel, waiting for him to defend me. He said nothing. Linda pointed to the door. "You're not welcome here anymore. Leave before you ruin Christmas for everyone." I grabbed my coat, my hands shaking, and walked out into the cold December night alone. I drove home in tears, the Christmas lights on every house blurring through my windshield. My phone buzzed with texts from Daniel. "Why did you make such a big deal out of this?" I didn't respond. I sat in our apartment, staring at the Christmas tree we'd decorated together just a week ago, and I realized something had broken inside me, something that couldn't be fixed. Daniel came home hours later. He smelled like wine and eggnog, and he was acting like nothing had happened, like I hadn't just been kicked out because of his family's Christmas. I confronted him the moment he walked in. Your mother kicked me out on Christmas Eve, and you let her. Daniel sighed, frustrated, like I was the one being unreasonable. You're being dramatic. She's just set in her ways. You need thicker skin. I stared at him in disbelief. Thicker skin? Daniel, she told me I'm not family. He waved me off. She didn't mean it like that. In that moment, I realized he would never stand up for me. Not on Christmas. Not ever. The next day, Christmas, Daniel went back to his mother's house without me. He texted, "Come if you want, but don't start anything." I stayed home alone, eating leftover takeout and scrolling through photos of Daniel's family gathered around the tree. Courtney had posted them with the caption, "Perfect Family Christmas." I wasn't in a single photo. It was like I didn't exist. Over the next week, things escalated. Linda started calling Daniel constantly, complaining about me. Daniel would relay the criticisms like he was some kind of messenger. Mom says you seem distant. She thinks you're holding a grudge. I snapped. She kicked me out of Christmas. Daniel shrugged. Can you just apologize so we can move on? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Apologize for what? Daniel looked annoyed. For making everything awkward. That's when I realized I'd been living in a nightmare, thinking it was a marriage. The final straw came on New Year's Eve. Linda hosted another party, and this time, Daniel told me I wasn't invited to keep the peace. I watched from home as Daniel posted Instagram stories with his family, laughing and celebrating. A mutual friend texted me, "Are you okay? I saw Daniel's stories. Why aren't you there?" I lied. I wasn't feeling well. But the truth was, I'd been erased. Linda had spent 3 years slowly pushing me out, and Daniel had let it happen every single time. I sat on the couch that night, staring at our wedding photos on the wall, and I made a decision. I wasn't going to beg for a place at their table anymore. I was going to walk away, and I was going to make sure they understood exactly what they lost. I sat at my desk the next morning with my laptop open, staring at a folder I'd been quietly building for months. What they didn't know was that I wasn't just some pushover who'd quietly disappear. I'd been documenting everything. Screenshots of Linda's cruel texts, recordings of conversations where Daniel dismissed my feelings, voicemails from Linda calling me an embarrassment. I had it all saved, organized, time-stamped. I'd also been in contact with a family lawyer, someone my college mentor Rachel had recommended. The lawyer had reviewed everything and told me I had grounds for emotional distress and a strong case for a clean divorce with a favorable settlement. But I had something else Linda didn't know about. A secret. 6 months ago, I'd accidentally discovered that Linda had been embezzling money from the family's small charitable foundation. The one Daniel's late father had started before he died. I'd found the records when Daniel asked me to help organize some of his father's old files. Thousands of dollars funneled into Linda's personal account under fake vendor invoices. Companies that didn't exist. Services that were never rendered. I'd quietly made copies of everything and stored them in a secure cloud drive. I'd kept this secret for months, hoping things would improve, hoping Linda would change. But now, I had no reason to protect her anymore. I had a plan they never saw coming, and it started with one simple action. I was done playing nice. I called my college mentor Rachel. She's a successful attorney who'd always believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. I told her everything. She listened without interrupting, and when I finished, she said firmly, "You need to leave him, Lauren, and you need to protect yourself legally." Rachel connected me with a divorce attorney and offered to be a character witness if I needed one. Over the next 2 weeks, I quietly moved my belongings out of the apartment bit by bit while Daniel was at work. Clothes, books, personal items. He didn't notice. I opened a separate bank account and transferred my half of our savings. Daniel didn't notice that either. He was too busy texting his mother and planning family dinners I wasn't invited to. I also reached out to Daniel's estranged uncle, Christopher. He was Daniel's father's brother, cut off by Linda years ago over some family dispute I never fully understood. Christopher had always been kind to me at the few family events he attended before Linda banned him completely. When I told him what happened, he was furious. Christopher revealed that he'd suspected Linda was misusing the foundation funds but had no proof. When I told him I had evidence, his voice went cold with resolve. "I'll help you however I can. Linda destroyed my relationship with my brother. She doesn't get to destroy you too." Meanwhile, Linda grew more arrogant. She started posting on social media about toxic people who can't handle strong family bonds. Daniel told me one night that his mother wanted me to sign a post-nuptial agreement giving up any claim to his future inheritance. I smiled and said, "Sure, I'll look at it." But I had no intention of signing anything. Rachel checked in regularly. "You ready to file?" I took a deep breath. "Not yet. I want them to feel safe first. I want them to think they've won." Christopher texted me, "When you're ready to move, I'm ready to back you up." I replied, "Soon." 2 weeks later, I invited Daniel to dinner at our apartment. It was our last dinner together, though he didn't know it yet. I'd already signed the divorce papers that morning. Over pasta and wine, I asked him calmly, "Do you love me?" Daniel looked confused. "Of course I do. Why are you asking?" I set down my fork and looked him in the eye. "Because you've let your mother treat me like garbage for 3 years, and you've never once stood up for me." Daniel groaned. "Not this again." I pulled out my phone and played a recording. Linda's voicemail from Christmas Eve. Her voice filled the room, sharp and venomous. "That girl is an embarrassment, Daniel. I don't know what you see in her. She's beneath you, beneath this family." Daniel's face went pale. "Where did you get that?" I didn't answer. Instead, I kept going. I pulled out printed bank statements, tax records, invoices. Everything I'd been holding on to. "Your mother has been stealing from your father's foundation," I said. My voice was steady, calm, cold. $73,000 over the past 4 years. Daniel grabbed the papers, his hands shaking. "That's impossible." I showed him the fake vendor invoices, the transfers to Linda's personal account, the pattern of theft that had been going on since his father died. "Your uncle Christopher is filing a formal complaint with the state attorney general tomorrow," I said. "And I'm the whistleblower. I have all the evidence." Daniel looked at me in shock. "You're going to destroy my mother?" I met his eyes without flinching. "No, Daniel. She destroyed herself. I'm just making sure everyone knows the truth." I slid the divorce papers across the table. "I'm done," I said. "I'm done being treated like I'm not enough. I'm done being invisible. And I'm done with you." Daniel's phone started buzzing. Then again. And again. Christopher had sent the evidence to the entire family email chain. 98 missed calls and texts poured in over the next hour. From Linda, from Courtney, from aunts and uncles, all panicking. I stood up, grabbed my coat, and walked toward the door. Daniel called after me. "Lauren, wait." I didn't look back. I moved into a small studio apartment and filed for divorce the next day. Within a week, the state launched an investigation into Linda's embezzlement. Linda tried calling me, leaving desperate voicemails. "Please, we can work this out. I'm sorry for everything." I blocked her number. Daniel sent dozens of texts begging me to drop the case against his mother. "You're tearing my family apart," I replied once. "Your mother did that herself, and you let her." The divorce was finalized within 3 months. I walked away with my dignity, my freedom, and a clean break. Christopher thanked me for giving him the evidence. "You gave me justice for my brother," he said. "Thank you." Linda faced legal consequences and public humiliation. The family foundation was dissolved. Her reputation in their social circle was destroyed. Daniel tried to reach out a few times, but I never responded. I rebuilt my life. My business started thriving without the emotional weight of Daniel's family dragging me down. I had more energy, more focus, more confidence. They thought I'd disappear quietly, like some forgotten footnote in their family story. But I didn't. I walked away with my head held high. Sometimes the best revenge is refusing to shrink yourself for people who never valued you in the first place. If you've ever been kicked out, excluded, or treated like you don't belong by someone's family, I want to hear your story in the comments. How did you stand up for yourself, or are you still finding the strength? Subscribe to join this community of people who refuse to be erased. Click hype to help this story reach others who need it. Did this story hit home? Let me know by liking the video and sharing your thoughts in the comments. Click hype to help this story find others who felt the same way. Your support makes a huge difference.